Hi everyone, welcome to Saige's Garage. I thought it was about time that I introduced myself on here. There are a few of you that have been here since the very beginning of my journey, since day one, and there are many of you that are new, and either way, no matter who you are, I am so glad you're here. To start off, I want to give you a little background on who I am. I have been making fake YouTube videos since I was 8 years old. I would plan them out, I would film them on whatever device I had available, usually it was my iPod Touch, and then I would edit them to the best of my ability, and I did this for years and years and years, but I never posted them until January 2022. I'm so glad I finally started because it was something that I had been wanting to do for basically my whole life, and I finally did it. Even though I have been editing videos for years, still clearly my editing needs a lot of work, but that's okay. With every video, I'm getting more practice and I'm learning more. I have always loved cars. When I was little, I always used to say that on my 16th birthday, I was going to buy myself a Porsche, but by the time I turned 16, I realized what money was and that unfortunately I was not in a position to do that. I used to love more supercars and the general wow cars, Lamborghinis, Porsches, McLarens, but as I got into my later teen years, I gained a huge appreciation and love for classic cars. I've always loved lots of things from many decades ago. I've always taken style from the 70s and 80s and 90s, and I just love everything about it. I think record players are awesome, and I love vintage clothing and vintage hairstyles and like things people used to wear, things they used to do, logos, branding, just anything from like the 70s to the 90s, I am just completely obsessed with. Also definitely some like 60s, 50s, that kind of stuff too. But my heart is definitely in like the 70s, 80s era. I started discovering more classic cars and just became so in love. The first ones I would say I really loved were probably a Bel Air and a Thunderbird, but then I started looking into classic cars more, being able to actually name them occasionally and kind of just getting a feel for what I like. Another thing about me is I love super cute tiny cars, so needless to say, I fell in love with British cars because they are always so tiny and so adorable. If you would have asked me what my dream car was 2 years ago, I would have said two things to you. My dream car would have been a 70s Corvette, like a Stingray Corvette, and then my attainable dream car, like one that was actually maybe a reality for me, but that was still like out there, would have been an MGB. And as I approached my 18th birthday, I was really starting to think about getting a car. I didn't have my license yet, but I thought maybe if I got a car, then that way I would actually have a reason to get my license. Everyone around me knew that I loved classic cars. Anytime I saw one, I would be gasping and jumping for joy. I just got so excited. And then one night, my dad came to me and he said, "Look what I found on Kijiji." And it was my beautiful 1973 Triumph Spitfire 1500. He was looking one night just for fun to see what there was because we've been chatting about me maybe getting a car. I will add to my backstory, I always said since I was like little that my first car was going to be stick shift. I would not accept getting automatic as my first car. I knew that I wanted to learn stick first, so that way I would know how to drive it, and then driving an automatic car would be easy peasy compared to that. And then when I got older, I kind of forgot about that rule that I had made for myself, but clearly I had manifested it at that point by saying it so many times. Anyways, my dad came across this car at Kijiji one night. I think it was like nighttime, it was probably like 10 or 11 or something, and he was like, "Hey, I found this car, like check it out." And I was like, wow, that is stunning. However, it was a Triumph, and like I had said, my dream car at that time was an MGB. I'd been talking about them nonstop to everybody, and every time I saw one, I would be so happy. If I'm being completely honest, I could be wrong. I don't think I had ever seen a Triumph before in my life until I saw the Kijiji ad. There's a possibility I might have seen one. I loved it right away because it was the British car, and I know they're not the same, so don't yell at me, but you gotta admit they have the same vibe, they have the same style. So I, of course, automatically loved it, but I genuinely think the first Triumph I ever saw in my life was that Kijiji ad, which is really funny. I live about 4 hours away from Toronto now, but I grew up in Toronto, so I'm always going back. And for whatever reason, my parents were driving up to Toronto the next day after my dad had shown me this ad. My car was somewhere near London, which is basically halfway between where I live near Windsor and Toronto. So he was like, why don't I just take a look at it on the way and we can just check it out. And I'm like, yeah, sure, there's no harm in that. And I don't even know how it happened, but my parents were coming back from their trip. They probably only went for like a day or two, and then they were coming back and they went and looked at the car and they ended up leaving with it. So I had never, first of all, seen a Triumph before, and second of all, seen my car before I purchased it. And that is another thing, I did fully purchase my car. So it was a little bit spontaneous, but I thought it was exciting, and I thought, you know what? There's a reason that we came across this and that we found it, and I knew it was something that I had been wanting, so it kind of just seemed like perfect timing. Also, this happened in March, so a month after my 18th birthday, so it was also kind of like a little birthday present to myself. My dad drove it home from London to our house, and if you know Canadian weather in March, it was snowing, so he's driving this classic 49-year-old car on the highway for like an hour and a half in the snow, but it all turned out okay in the end. Needless to say, I was incredibly excited to see it for the first time, and for the first time seeing it, knowing that I was the new owner. I think I have to give you a little backstory on my love for all things British. When I was little, I used to love doing accents, and I did a British accent constantly, like non-stop. If I was talking to you, I would be talking to you in a British accent, and I couldn't stop it, and it got to the point where I didn't even notice I was doing it anymore. It was such a habit. Thing is, I didn't know what a real British accent was. I probably had never spoken to an actual British person before, but I was just obsessed with Britain and the idea of it. I thought it was magical and beautiful, and I just had to go. One thing that I really wanted when I was younger is I wanted to be part British, because as far as I knew at the time, I was German, Ukrainian, Italian, and Irish, so I was not British. But hold on to that point for a later note. And so anyone who ever told me they were British, I would be like, oh, I'm so jealous, I can't believe it, I want to be British, I love it, and I want to go there so bad. Then when I got a little older, I had been in ballet for my whole life at that point, and I did a show with Canada's National Ballet School as a hedgehog. Now, a lot of hedgehogs naturally live in Britain and in that area, but I didn't even know that at the time. For many reasons that I don't even know of, somehow the whole hedgehog thing stuck. I played a hedgehog, and ever since that moment in my life, I have been known as a hedgehog. That has just been my thing. Everybody knows I'm associated with hedgehogs. I love them. If I ever see anything hedgehog related, I will have to buy it, and I need it, and I will talk about it on and on. Just for reference, in case you didn't believe me, this is one of my favorite mugs. So that is yet another reason why I wanted to go to Britain, because I had to see a hedgehog for the first time. Another thing about me is I have been an actor since I was 2 years old, so I've done various commercials and TV shows and movies. I think I was 11 when I ended up filming an episode of a kids show here in Canada called Dino Dana, and I played a character named Mary Anning. She was a real person, she was an archaeologist, and she was British. So needless to say, I had to play the role with a British accent. Now, one thing I want to say is that I've never had any formal training, so I don't actually know what a real British accent is like, and I don't know any British people in my normal day-to-day life that I can hear their voice. So I had nothing to go off of. It was just something that I had been doing since I was little, and it just stuck, and apparently I was good enough to play this British character. I hope this isn't offensive, because I don't know. I completely understand that this is definitely not a good British accent, but I thought it would be a little bit funny to show on here because I haven't done it in probably like 2 or 3 years, but it is something that I can just pick up in the middle of a conversation and I can go back to it like everything is normal.
Shall we uncover the specimen? Yes. Jolly good. Now lift it out. Heave ho.
No, it's all right. This is Gemma, Aloysius's youngest. His children are here for the wedding.
And now they're your children?
Yes. I'll fix this for you. Oh, what pretty locks you have.
Thank you.
So needless to say, I have a bit of an obsession with Britain, but the thing is, I still haven't gone, and I think that that's a crime at this point. So I'm hoping that somehow this channel will magically bring me there in the future. So I really do think it was perfect that my first car ended up being a British car. Now I will say, I love many cars. My Triumph is just one of the cars I love, but I think I have a pretty large range of cars that I love. I do have a list of cars that I have to get in my lifetime. I will not survive if I don't get them. But then I have a much longer list of cars that I just love and would love to have. I'm gonna start off the list with one that, fingers crossed, I'm getting soon. It's on my dream board for this year. I really want to get one. It probably seems really cheesy, but it is a 2000s Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I understand that it is completely different and not at all in the same realm as my Triumph and as a classic car of any way. But I thought if you're gonna get to know me, you might as well know what other cars I like. I want to get that one to be just my daily drive or my automatic car, one that I can make super cute, maybe pink, definitely have daisy rims on it, and just overall very flowery. Now, on my list of cars that I would love but isn't a need is definitely a 60s Beetle, because come on, those are insanely classic and incredible. Now, I think it would be really cool to have cars on all of my family's birth year. So 1973 is actually my dad's birth year, which means both my car and my dad are 50 this year. And if I got the Volkswagen Beetle I wanted, I would get a 2004 because that is my birth year. So my mom's birth year is 1966, and there are so many incredible 60s cars. However, there are two that I am obsessed with, but if I ever got one, I would just be choosing one. And the thing is, they are similar, they have the same vibe, but I understand that they're completely different, so do not come for me for comparing them. They're similar. You're gonna understand. It would be either a 66 Mini Cooper or a 66 Fiat. They're both super adorable, tiny little box cars, and every time I see one, I literally will squeal and jump for joy. If you watch any of my car show videos, if I saw one at that show, that was all I was recording and all I was talking about, because I just love them so much and I have to have one in my lifetime, if not multiple. I said earlier that if you asked me 2 years ago what my dream car was, it would be a 70s Corvette, and that is 100% still on my list and probably the top of the list, if not one of the cute tiny cars. But that is one that I just think are incredible and stunning, and I would love one. Now, my sister's birth year is 1995, and I'm still undecided about what car I need to fill that void. However, I've always wanted a Miata, so that would be really cool. But also, if we are dreaming big, definitely one of my dream cars, but like so dream car that it's not even on the list of dream cars because it's so insane, is a 90s Lamborghini Countach. Those I think are phenomenal, exceptional, incredible. I don't even know what kind of words to describe my love for them, but they are just everything to me. I will say some honorable mentions on that list are a first-gen Mustang, but it has to be either a light pink or a light yellow. A 1960s Mercedes, either a 300 SL or a 230 SL or both, and a Nissan Figaro. That is just a very small portion of my list. If you guys are curious about all of them, I could talk for hours about the cars that I love and in detail, so I could definitely make a video on that if anybody's interested. Before I got my Triumph, I loved classic cars because they were pretty and they were cute, and I just basically for the look and for the fact that they were vintage and old, because I've always loved retro stuff. And I never imagined I would be getting into repairing one, fixing one, learning about the engine of one, maybe getting underneath one. I haven't gotten that far yet, but we'll see. I'm working on it. And it's kind of crazy where this journey has taken me because I never would have imagined it. I am so incredibly thankful to all of you. Your support and kindness and generosity has been incredible. And I can't even believe it some days how generous all of you are. You share your knowledge with me and your support, and it really means everything to me. I love and thrive off of constructive criticism because otherwise there's no way I'm gonna learn. So if you ever notice something that I'm doing wrong, that I can be doing better, something that I'm not doing that I should be doing, something that I'm doing that I shouldn't be doing, Please, please tell me, because the only way I'm gonna be able to learn and grow and be better is if you guys let me know, because obviously I am unaware. I completely forgot. This has definitely been a suspenseful waiting game. I said something like 10 minutes ago about keep that note for later, about me not being British, and I completely forgot about it, so you're welcome for the suspense. I do love Halloween. I did end up doing a DNA test for other reasons, and I found out that I'm actually 3.9% English, so I think that is just the cherry on top. I also incidentally found out that I am neither Ukrainian or German. Don't know how that happened. The last thing I have to say is that this is actually not my only YouTube channel. If you didn't know, I have another one. It's called Saige Aurora, and it is my vlog channel, my lifestyle. I take you about my day, I make cute aesthetic videos going around the city, and I do beauty videos and lifestyle, so if that is somehow something you're interested in. I know that my audience on this channel is quite different from the other one, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to share. I just want to let you know, if you're ever missing me or want to see more videos from me, I do have a whole other channel. I think that is everything you need to know about me. If you guys have any questions or want me to make a part 2, absolutely feel free to let me know. Again, I want to thank you all so much for being here. You have no idea how much it means to me. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Bye!